All right, guys. Coach Laird coming at you with Toughness tip of the day. Season has started, high school baseball in Indiana, and there's going to be coaches constantly holding you accountable. Well, the good coaches are going to be holding you accountable. The other ones will bury their head in the sand, which I know a lot of those. And today's Toughness tip of the day is how to handle criticism. All right, so everybody in this game is going to have to handle some sort of criticism, whether it's, a constructive criticism, an out-of-line negative criticism, whether it's from fans or from other players, whatever it is, you're going to have to handle criticism. And the big thing is, the one I'm going to talk about today is the constructive criticism that you're going to get from coaches, because I hear it all the time. Kids will constantly complain. Players will constantly complain that their coach is too hard on them. He's writing them too hard. He's always on his ass, and he's always saying these things to me, and he won't let me breathe. And it reminds me a lot of, actually, recently, Tom Izzo, one of the greatest college basketball coaches of all time, was getting on his player, a freshman on his team during the March Madness tournament. And he was getting on him and screaming at him and yelling at him, and he was waving his finger a little bit. And I saw it as just a coach getting on a player. He's holding him accountable, which is exactly the way you should be coaching. And there's a lot of people that got butthurt about it, like, oh, he doesn't need to be yelling, doesn't need to be waving. And unfortunately, this is the culture that we live in today, where a lot of people, as soon as somebody raises their voice, or as soon as somebody is trying to hold somebody accountable in a very manly way, or, and it's not even a manly way. I know a lot of female coaches that hold people accountable, but essentially anytime there's kind of an alpha trait or a domineering trait that somebody has and they're coaching that way, people get so offended at this. And unfortunately, this is allowed because people keep talking about it. In my opinion, people need to stop talking about it and appreciate what a good coach does and appreciate raising young men. When they started attacking him about, well, he talks about family and he's yelling at his players like that. Whoa. Last time I checked, when I was growing up, my mom and my dad would get on my ass and yell at me, and I would be disciplined when I did something wrong. And that's exactly what a great coach is going to do. So let's get back to what constructive criticism is. A lot of coaches are going to be getting on you and talking to you about a lot of ways you're playing the game, how you're playing the game, your mental approach, your physical approach, meaning, your body language in the game when you're doing something wrong and you're doing something right, how you're leading and how you're communicating with your fellow teammates around you. And I'm just going to sit here and talk to you right now. If a coach is getting on you, number one, he cares, period. Number two, whether a coach is approaching you in a calm, collected, and smooth way, or whether a coach is approaching you and he's yelling at you and he's getting in your face, one thing you got to understand is hear the message. Don't listen to how the tone is being presented to you. Because I'm going to tell you right now, as a coach and a former player, obviously, there are definitely certain players you have to approach in certain ways, and coaches will learn this over time. The bad ones will just treat everybody exactly the same. But at one point or another, you're going to have to get your ass chewed, and most guys need to get their ass chewed. There are certain types of personalities that don't need to get their ass chewed. I was a guy that never really needed to get my ass chewed, but because I was always motivated and self-motivated and would get stuff done, all a coach would have to do is tell me one thing. But did I come across coaches that would chew my ass all the time? Yeah, I'd come across coaches that would chew my ass. A lot of times, he was doing it. Now, I'm not going to talk about the guy that I'm referring to right now. He was doing it because that's all he knew. That's the only way he knew how to communicate. And that's part of learning how to deal with people and part of learning how to deal with personalities and understand personalities. And I could always read people very well. So the weakness in this coach I'm referring to, who was a great coach, but his weakness is he had no other way to communicate. He had horrible communication skills when it came to outside of the field, and that didn't know how to relate to players. But his only way of communicating was, screaming or getting on it. And he didn't really cuss very often. Every now and then he would do it. But none of that stuff bothered me, because at the end of the day, that's how he communicated. And I understood what the message was going to be. Sometimes his message was wrong, just like sometimes coaches read things and interpret things the wrong way. But at the end of the day, even if they were interpreted the wrong way, his number one goal was, let's make the team better, right? Let's make each other better, all right? Let's hold each other accountable. And there's always going to be situations where a coach is going to piss you off and make you mad. Relax. They're not out there to piss you off. They don't wake up in the morning and go, you know what, I'm going to piss, Johnny down the street off just because he annoys me. You got to let that stuff go. Every time a coach gets on you and every time you are criticized is to make you better, make him better, make the team better, but also to have everybody around you say, hey, we're not going to get away with these kind of things. We're going to learn how to do things. And I'm going to tell you right now, when you get criticized and you get mad and saying, oh, he was out of line for this, I guarantee you could sit back and look at one or two things that you could definitely have done better. Part of being a man and being a strong individual, and this, part of being a woman as well, is holding yourself accountable and understanding that, hey, you know what? I got to have extreme ownership in every single thing that I do. If you look at every situation that you've gotten in trouble for, criticized for, whatever it is, you can look at one or two things and sometimes even more. Man, I should have done this right. I could have done this better. I could have done that better. Assume that everything is your fault and you won't get offended anymore. You will always be looking at getting yourself and making yourself better, whether it's on the field, whether it's in the weight room, whether it's in life, whether it's for a job. This is for anybody and everybody, just like every toughness tip of the day. Criticism is a part of life. Hear the message. What is worth it? Take it in. What is not worth it? Get it out. Sometimes some of the messages, none of it's worth it. You just listen to it and then you let it go. But at the end of the day, you are in control of your emotions, you are in control of your actions, and you are in control of what you say. Toughness tip of the day. This is how to handle criticism. See you guys later.